those who don't know me and who will end up seeing this video. My name is Derrick Hall. My friends call me D Hall. I'm attempting to make this video for numerous reasons. Most people who know me, they never know what the hell's gonna come out of my mouth next, and to be honest, neither do I. So I have a lot of intent with this, but let's just hope that I get my point across by the end of it. When I was growing up as a kid, I never thought I'd be in the situations that I've been in my life. Never thought that I'd deal with the things that I've dealt with, meet the people I've met, and a lot of other things. And all of it's really been a blessing to me. All of it. Every ounce of happiness and pain that I've felt has all been a blessing, and it's all been for a purpose. And sometimes it's hard for us to see that and what that purpose is, especially looking short-term, being nearsighted. But as you get older, you understand that you have to be a little more farsighted as well in life and be able to see how those small decisions and every decision will impact you in the short term and long term. And the next part of it is accepting what comes with those decisions, the consequences, as most of us like to call it, karma. And that could be good or bad, but it's all relative. And we've all had our experiences. We can go on and on about the good. We can go on and on about the bad. But in this day and age, a lot of people don't really like to talk about the bad. And I think that's what separates me is I try to be human. One of my idols, probably one of the biggest inspirations to not only me but to a lot of people worldwide, is Tupac. He's the reason I have my nose pierced. He's the reason for a lot of things. But when I was a kid, I was watching an interview with him. Can't remember how old I was, but obviously it was before he died. And I was only about 7 years old when he died, so I learned a lesson at a really early age by him, and I understood it. And that was that it's okay to contradict yourself. It's okay to be angry and happy. It's okay to be sad one moment, and then have a burst of energy or this and that the next, and feel good. And also vice versa. And as people being controlled by who we're being controlled by, following who we're following, conforming to what we're conforming to, we hold on to these beliefs, and these beliefs end up ruling our life. They end up being the rules to our life. We do this or that based off of what we believe. And it's okay to be you. It's okay to be yourself, even when you think that you're not going to have friends or you're going to be judged by your decisions, by your words or your actions. It's okay to just be you, because there's currently over 7 billion people in the world, and that number is growing larger and larger by the day. We're obviously gaining more life, but we're also losing a lot of lives as well, which is why it's imperative and even more significant that you be who you are, because nobody else can be. When we watch TV and we see these celebrities and this and that, and you want to be them. They inspire you, they motivate you, and that's a great thing. There's a special word that means a lot to me, and it's called Ubuntu, which means I am because you are. And I know that I wouldn't be who I am today without the experiences that I've had on my own, but those experiences have also been accompanied by other people. And I've learned from other people, whether it's been teachers in a physical institution or it's been friends and family and, just people in and out of your life who come as lessons and teach lessons, if you're paying attention and willing to learn. And one thing I've understood is that, not to judge people because we all make mistakes, but also there's no one way to do anything. You want to be a rapper, but you don't have to do it because there's millions of other people out here doing it. You want to be a model, do it. You don't have to do it because other people are doing it. And you don't have to do it the way that everyone else is doing. You don't have to start as a stripper. You don't have to do this, do that. Even in school, you don't have to go to a college to be successful. You don't have to go to college to be successful. That was one of the biggest lessons taught to me. And all glory to God, me being blessed the way I am to be an intelligent young black man who understands his mind and understands his intelligence. I do consider myself a genius. I don't care what anyone says. It's something I know deep inside myself. And it's just who I am. And me understanding who I am and being proud of that. I was raised by a mother, a single mother, Italian woman, who dealt with what is the typical black man in America, or at least what they want you to believe. My father wasn't around. He was in the streets. He was on drugs. He was in jail. Pretty much all my life. I can count on one hand, basically, my family on my mom's side. And it's something that drives me to succeed, and it's also just made me the person that I am today. So, in a weird way, thank you, Dad, for not being there. But I love him nonetheless, and I love my dad's side of the family very much. It takes a lot of understanding to have that love instead of sitting and wondering why you weren't good enough for someone to love you, why you weren't adequate for them. What did you do wrong? What was different about you that they couldn't just step up to the plate and be a parent? And someone who's going through his own trials and tribulations, having a kid of my own, I can say it's not easy, but it's what makes you, whether it's easy or not, sticking in there, not running away from your problems, not doing what the next person's doing because it seems like it's the thing to do, because it's easy, because you'll be okay, not doing nothing or being like the next person. Family can be your worst enemy sometimes, but at the same time, we have to understand that people are people, and nobody owes you anything, whether they brought you into this world or not. Nobody owes you anything. And that's a very hard pill to swallow, but the faster we're able to accept that, the faster we're able to learn that a much better world this will be, much better. I was beat as a kid, beat by my mother and grandmother. I was bad as hell, no doubt. Um, but did I deserve to be beat the way I did? Probably not. It made me very tough, but it's also made me very emotional person growing up. And it's a very weird thing. I tell every female that comes into my life now, it's a surprise that I even know how to love a female because of the way I was treated by them as a kid and growing up. Being judged, being told what to do, having things expected of you when you don't expect them of yourselves. You just want to be you and not who people want you to be. And it's made me a very strong person. It's made me a very strategic person because I think things through probably a lot more than the next. I overthink, of course, as well as a lot of things, but I also overachieve. My mother or father never finished high school, and my mother didn't even have a license until she was over 30 years old. We lived in the projects until I was in 10th grade probably, and it just comes with a lot of learning. It comes with a lot of experience, a lot of questioning things, and I just really appreciate my mom and my grandmother for doing what they could for me while they could, and while they still can, because to this day they still do. And I'm almost 30 years old, and I'm grateful for everything that they continue to do for me, as well as my uncle and my sister, and especially my brother, who I love very much, all of them. And it's easy to hold grudges against people. It's easy to hold a grudge against yourself, and that's what a lot of people don't realize, is that this anger and the savagery that people are showing nowadays has nothing to do with the outside world. It has everything to do with how you feel about yourself, not the next person. We give so much attention to evil, to negativity, and to hate, but do very little to address the positive aspects of life and the positive things that we can do, the positive things that we've learned and experienced. And being somebody who's grown up with suicidal thoughts since I could remember, maybe when I was 4 years old, 5 years old or so, I developed suicidal thoughts. They would come when I would get beat and not understand why I was beat as a kid. As an adult, you understand that people come home from work stressed out, and they take their anger out on people they have no business taking it out on. And that's exactly what happened to me. And being a grown man, I still have a lot of respect for my mother, as I should, and for my grandmother. But I've also disrespected my mother and grandmother when I felt it was the right thing to do. And there'll be a lot of people who disagree with that and say, well, it's never the right thing to do. But you live your life and I'll live mine. And as I was saying, when I felt it was the right thing to do, because as you get older, you understand where that anger came from. And whether it was right or wrong, it's still unjustified, but you understand. And just being able to vent to them about how I felt as a kid and how I felt now, because a lot of adults carry their childhood with them. A lot of adults carry their childhood with them, and we spend our adulthoods trying to get over that rather than being adults. And we take it out on everyone and wonder why our lives are the way they are. And it's just wrong. When we move forward, or at least try to move forward with someone good in our lives, sometimes we don't know how to take it. Sometimes we think we don't deserve it. Sometimes we think that it's too good, or we're not good enough. Again, replaying our childhoods in our minds. And it takes a lot of strength to love yourself. It takes a lot of strength to not follow the masses, the blind leading the blind. And for those out there who feel as though I do and are empaths and can feel other people's pain and take on other people's pain even when dealing with their own problems and their own pain, you are all the real MVPs here, and I just want you to know that it's all going to come back to you in a good way, whether you know it or not, whether you believe it or not, but it will. And someone who has dealt with suicidal thoughts, I know my life could have been over at any moment had I gone through with any of those thoughts. But I'm blessed to be here. I'm blessed to be alive and able to make this video and speak to people who need to hear what I need to say. If you don't need to hear what I need to say, then this doesn't apply to you. I'm not worried about you. But those who are, I love you, I care for you, I pray for you, and I hope you heal. I hope you heal and receive the many blessings that this universe has for you. I firmly believe in the law of attraction, and that you attract what you want as well as you attract what you fear. And your desires have to be stronger than your fears in this world, or else they will get the best of you. Whether you want to call it God, the devil, love, hate, happiness, anger, you call it whatever you want to call it, but at the end of the day, there's positive and negative energy, and whichever you carry with you is what you're going to manifest, not only for yourself, but the rest of the world. So this is me manifesting my energy to the world. This is me putting my energy out there and letting everyone know that I will not fail. I will not be stopped on my mission. For those who know, I created a company called Limits Are Lies back in 2013. So let me say shout out to Buffalo and Niagara Falls, my hometowns where I grew up. Seneca High School has done so much for my life, best school in the world. I don't care what nobody says. Shout out to everybody who went there. I love you all. Thank you as well for making me into the person I am. There's so many more people, celebrities and such, who've done a lot to me. Most people know I'm a huge Stephen Curry fan, and I was while he was still in college at Davidson. I'm not a bandwagon fan by any means, but he's really done so much for my confidence when I was depressed and down, and just my belief in achieving the unachievable. Kobe Bryant, for the way the man works and his determination to win by any means. His work ethic is probably unmatched in any sport, probably in any business, other than maybe a Steve Jobs, who was also on my Mount Rushmore of idols and people who've inspired me and motivated me to be on the path that I am today. Nelson Mandela, a man who was enslaved for 25 years or more, if I'm not mistaken, and when freed, just didn't want to get revenge on the people who enslaved him, and that was their biggest fear. And it takes a very, very strong man, a very strong person in general to have such tranquility um, within them, and to not want to get revenge, to not hate, and to really understand the world and uh, his mission and his goals. There's so many others, and I'll definitely get to them one day. The Weeknd, Trey Songz, Jeezy, especially for motivating me and helping me get money. Trey Songz has taught me so much about loving women and loving who you are as a person, and putting that into the world. And The Weeknd for being so creative and inspirational and helping me through a lot of depressed times in my life. Last but not least, that I do want to shout out in this video is XXX Tentacion. And X, you were such an inspiration to so many people. And I have to admit that I didn't listen to any of your music until you passed away, and it's something that I hate myself for, because you are probably now one of my top 3 artists ever. And your music is so creative, so ahead of its time, so unique and original that I can't put it into words right now. If I was an artist who created music, I would want to make music the way that you make music, so raw and beautifully made. I can go on and on about what you meant to music and what you meant to people. So thank you for giving the world what you did while you were here. And thank you for trying to change and changing your life the way that I have. I'm a 30-year-old man learning that from a kid. And a lot of other people should too. It's taken me a lot to come to this point in my life right now. For those who did see me and are watching this video, you know I smoke. Everything is bad for you when you do it too much, excessively. So those who do smoke, I encourage you to do it, but do it in moderation, and to be careful what you're smoking, and hopefully it doesn't lead you to doing harder drugs, especially things like coke, heroin, lean, and stuff like that. Just being honest, as someone who's experimented with drugs, I've done acid, I've done Molly, I've done ecstasy, and I've enjoyed those things, but I've also understood the dangers and risks that come with them, and I've adjusted and took the necessary precautions, even though you can take all the precautions in the world and there's still a chance that something can go wrong, a chance that you'll never be the same again. And drugs definitely change your life, for better or worse, is, to each his own, but God bless all of you who do. And the heroin crisis in particular is a very threatening situation to America, very threatening situation to the world. And I hope it's something that we can address, as well as mental health awareness and suicide awareness. And we need more people to speak up on these issues. We need more people who have the personalities and strong minds and influence to speak on these things and influence the world in a more positive manner rather than a negative one. Something that bothered me a lot recently is hearing how the rapper Future, whose music I happen to love as well, endorses the use of drugs so much, but everybody knows now that he's not even high or he's not even using drugs and stuff, but he endorses it so much. And as an artist, you have the ability to express yourself, you express life, and be creative however you so pleased, but also you have to understand that there are people, kids, who listen and will take your words literally and go out and do those drugs, go out and rob these people, go out and do this and go out and do that and be in these streets. Someone who's listened to a lot of Jeezy, who is my favorite rapper ever, other than Tupac and DMX maybe. Both of those situations I'll speak on later. But Jeezy's somebody who's just motivated me. He never made me want to sell drugs. Well, not in a physical way at least, but I'm sure I've thought about it a couple times. But he's just somebody who's motivated me, wanted me to get money and be a nigga who has morals, be a man who has morals. You can say what you want about everybody who has an idol, but you never know what that person is doing for somebody. So I'm sure Future is helping a lot of people out, and this is not me calling him out or anything. It's just me trying to make a point that, be careful of who you call an idol. Be careful of who you choose to follow, because you never know where it'll get you. You don't know these people. You only know of them, and what you know of them may not even be the truth. So do your research, and just be wise, but also just be yourself, and you don't have to run into those type of problems. Your kids won't run into those type of problems when you're their biggest influence, when you're who they want to learn from, not what they see on TV and not their friends. All the single mothers out there, I give the utmost respect and kudos to you, and much love to you all, because it's not easy to raise a kid. And as a man who's still learning how to be a better father, every single day, and learning how to love my son and teach my son the way that I feel as though is necessary to be able to give him the things that I wasn't given as a child by a father. And I'm not talking about materialistic things. I'm talking about direction. I'm talking about knowledge. I'm talking about information that he can use to invest in himself the way that I've learned to invest in myself. We have to invest in our women. We have to invest in our kids, and we have to invest in ourselves if we want to go anywhere in this world. Yes, as minorities, but yes, as humanity, as people in general. Everyone who knows, I made a video last year, and it's been a very tough year ever since. I've made that video, but it was the best thing I've ever done in my life, other than having my son. And not following through with my suicidal thoughts, but standing up to a racist white man at the Made of the Mist Corporation in Niagara Falls, New York. He's not only racist and sexist, as well as others in positions of power at that company, but he's just a very disgusting individual who I got tired of. And when I tried to do the right thing quite a few times, I was ignored, and the situation was handled incorrectly, so I took it in my own hands and handled it the way that I felt I should have. And I apologize to everyone for not following through and taking that case to a Supreme Court and getting tired and sloppy with the process of it all. But I was a little burned out, and I apologize for that, but here I am continuing my mission to serve my people, to serve my communities, and they don't need any more publicity than that, but I'm not done with you, and I hope you all know that. Made of the Mist. Limits Our Lies is my baby, and it's so much more than a company. It starts with being a mindset that you can do anything you put your mind to. And it becomes a motto that you tell yourself every day. Limits are lies, limits are lies, limits are lies. I can do this. That motto soon becomes a lifestyle, and it's something that you live, and it's something that people see, and they want to be a part of it. And then it becomes a brand, something consistent, something timeless, something that people relate to immediately just by seeing your logo, by hearing the name. And it becomes a business when you make money, which is not my goal at all with this. All in all, it's a movement. It's my movement, but it's also our movement. And ours as minorities, as Black people, as individuals in this world. It's for anyone who is alive, anyone who's been alive, because I wouldn't be who I am. I wouldn't know that limits are lies without everybody else experiencing life and me being able to learn from their mistakes as well as my own. To be able to learn from their successes as well as my own. Everything isn't for everyone, which is why you need to be you. You can't move how other people move if you've never experienced what they've experienced, if you've never learned what they needed to learn to move the way they need to move. And that's a big lesson in life, and I hope more people learn that as well as others and stay woke. But this Limits Our Lies is a big deal, and I appreciate everyone who follows me and my movement and is a part of this with me. And it's going to be a long, long ride. But success isn't a destination, it's a journey, and that's what we're about. We're about appreciating this process now, trusting this process, and seeing what beautiful things can come from this. As good as life can be, it can be just as bad. And it's what I understand about Limits Our Lives. It's what I understand about this world. But at the end of the day, we choose to focus on the positive here right now. We choose to focus on the positive and push that into the universe because we want it back. So here I am telling you all who watch this video, I'm coming and we're coming. So be ready. Limits Our Lives.